In this video, I'm going to show you how to do standard deviation on OpenOffice. So in the last video, we took 5 numbers. They were, let me go ahead and type them in as I'm saying them. They were 7, 8, 8, 11, and 16. And we used the formula for standard deviation, well, population standard deviation, which was, we subtracted the mean, which was 10, from all of them, squared it, added those up, divided by how many, which is 5, took the square root, and we got 3.3. It was a lot of work, even with just these 5 data points. Also mentioned that if it was sample standard deviation, you would do the same thing. It just, after you add up these squares, you would divide by 4 instead of by 5. But we didn't actually do that in the last video, but we kind of mentioned there is a slight difference between population and sample standard deviation. Alright, so let's see how we get the computer to do this for us. So I've got my OpenOffice spreadsheet open, which if you've ever used Excel, this works nearly the same way. First thing I'm going to do is, since I can't remember the names of all these functions, I'm going to pull up my function list. And there's lots of different options for what sorts of things are in this function. You can do financial, information, logical, mathematical. Since we're in statistics class, I think statistical is probably a good place to look. We have average there at the top, which is the mean. We're going to learn a lot of these. We're going to use the F distribution before this is over. We're not going to learn nearly all of them, though. I mean, we've got median, mode, normal distribution. There's the Pearson correlation coefficient, Poisson distribution. Yeah, we'll use a lot of these, but not nearly all of them. Since we're working on standard deviation, hey, there's standard deviation right there. And notice there's 4 different ones. If you click on one of them, it'll kind of give you a description of what this one is. This one is calculate standard deviation based on a sample. This one is based on a sample. Text evaluated is 0. In this class, I don't know that we'll ever have text in our spreadsheet. You'll usually just be doing problems with this rather than setting up some giant archive thing. So you probably won't have to worry about getting around text like you might have to in the real world. This standard deviation, okay, this is standard deviation based on the population, which that's what we actually computed last time. And this is same deal, but again, text is evaluated as being a 0. So, alright, since we did population last time, let's use it. If I want to get the population standard deviation, it's real easy. Just hit equals anywhere. You don't have to be right here. You could pick any cell on the page, hit equals. Go over here, double click to get my population standard deviation, and then highlight the cells I'm interested in. So highlight those 5 data points, hit enter, and it is 3.3. We did all that work last time. Took the computer less than a second. What if we wanted the sample standard deviation? Well, do the same thing. Take these numbers. Let's type them in again. We go up to sample standard deviation, which was that one. Double click on it and highlight the cells we want. There's the sample standard deviation. Notice the sample standard deviation is a bit bigger than the population. That's just because on the population we were dividing by, well, in this case 5. Sample standard deviation you're dividing by 4. If you divide by a smaller number, you get a bigger number. So that dividing by 4 is just kind of a little hedging our bet sort of thing. We just divide by that smaller number so we get a little bigger answer and have a little more margin of error to work with. Alright, well, let's just do 1 or 2 more examples. I don't have any particular numbers in mind, so let me just pick out some random ones. The function for a random number is rand between, so let's just take some numbers between 25 and 75. And If you want the same thing in a whole bunch of cells, you just drag down. Okay, there's a list of numbers. If I want to know the mean, again, the function they have for mean in OpenOffice is actually average, so I can select all those. There's the average of my random set of numbers. That's a pretty expected average because if I have random numbers between 25 and 75, you'd think the average should be pretty close to 50, and it is. If this is a sample and I want the standard deviation, just click Sample Standard Deviation. Click the numbers you want to take. Hit enter. If you want population, equals, take the population standard deviation, select the numbers you're interested in, hit enter. Again, the sample's a little bit bigger than the population because we're dividing by that smaller number. That's all there is to it. So, having technology to do these computations for you is a very good thing. So I strongly encourage you to learn how to do this. You notice we have z-tests, t-tests, t-distribution, t-inverse. We're going to be using this, well, I'm going to be using this program a lot. You can use this one, you can use a TI calculator, whatever you want to do, but I strongly encourage you to pick a piece of technology to do the computations for you in this class.